Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome, good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. This is Let's Play Higurashi. I'm home. Huh? As soon as I opened the front door, I smelled it. It smelled really good. My father isn't good at cooking, but he likes trying to cook creative dishes. I remember he used to cook something very challenging whenever he was in a good mood, so this smell was a sign that he felt that way. That's why I always liked this smell. The reason he's in a good mood is because he's found a job. And not just any job. He found a job with a company created by friends from his old workplace. They remembered my father and promised to hire him. He told me that some of his other colleagues from the old company are also working there. It must be very encouraging for him to work with people he knows, because he hasn't worked for a long time. The dinner looked great, in contrast to how it tasted. It was a dinner to celebrate his new life, to show his determination, to regain his bond with his daughter, and to make a clean start. I talked about a lot of things with my father that night. It had been a long time since the last time I talked with him like this. I don't remember when it was, but it reminded me of the days I was still happy, which meant that I'd finally returned to that time. My father still believes that Teppei is coming back one day, so he's still very cautious about locking the doors and windows, and he gets scared every time someone rings the doorbell. But why though? Teppei didn't ring the doorbell, he just bashed in the window. I told him so many times that they'd never come back, but I couldn't convince him because I couldn't tell him the reason why they won't. He'll eventually realize that he's free. I'm sure. It won't take long. Too, my heart was full of many, many emotions that day. If motion could actually burst a heart open, it might happen to me. My brain must have been overworked because so many things happened at once. My head was still fuzzy, but I managed to crawl onto my bed. I felt like the ground was moving. I totally lost my sense of reality. I remember that I once felt like this when I got the flu. I might get a high fever tomorrow, but I don't care. I don't care if I get sick tomorrow. I just wanted to enjoy the fact that I took a step towards the future of my decision. Keiichi-kun told me something like that today. The high fever and dizziness made me feel frustrated for some reason. But whenever I feel frustrated, I feel the heat on my wrist too. I grabbed my wrist with my left hand tightly. It made the frustration go away, and it brought me relief. Even the dizziness I didn't like just before made me feel like I was in a down-filled futon. I was falling asleep in the down-filled futon on my first night in a new world. This dizziness didn't go away for a few days, but I gradually got used to it. This new world looked like the world I used to live in before, but the sunshine was a little bit brighter, and Keiichi-kun's smile looked a little bit more gentle than before. We made more noise than we used to. We spent every day slowly but in high spirits. Oh, what an idiot I am. I underestimated that dizziness, and I caught a summer cold in June. I wanted to get better as soon as possible. I should have taken a day off from club activities, but I forced myself to play with them every day and made it hard for me to get better. I finally learned my lesson recently. I don't need to feel frustrated. There's no limit to happiness in this world. As long as we keep wishing for it, it'll continue forever. I don't need to feel frustrated anymore, because tomorrow I will have the happiness I have today. We'll have the Watanagashi Festival. next Sunday. Michan tells us that we'll have a lot of fun and that we'll go extra crazy. I really can't wait. Notice from the Forestry Service. You're crying right now. Be forgiven. It's still June, yet the air is filled with the cries of the cicadas. How is everyone in Hinamizawa doing? The Watanagashi festival is coming just around the corner. We staff members from the Forestry Service are going to perform a wood sculpting demonstration at the festival. We'll be happy to lend our tools and teach your kids how to sculpt wood themselves. It'll be an excellent memorial gift. Also, we would like to inform everyone that we're going to cut down trees in the local hills this summer as part of the Forest Landscape Management Project. This project involves preserving the beauty of the forest by cutting down old trees and planting new ones. The Forestry Service needs volunteers who are interested in helping us cut down the old trees. You can enjoy the beauty of nature under the blue sky while helping us out with this preservation activity. The project will begin during summer break, so you can bring your kids too. This will be a good opportunity for your kids to learn about nature and have a valuable experience. The locations of the project are the forests in Takatsudo and the Yagoichi areas. Welcome. Would you like a hot dog? Our shaved ice is the best you've ever tasted. You can have it with strawberry syrup, melon syrup, or Hawaiian blue syrup. Try our takoyaki roulette. The winner is packed with a ton of mustard. Why not make it something super spicy? There are a great many booths at this year's Watanagashi Festival. Anything can become a festival if there's vendors selling food and music for bond dances, I thought. It's still June, but it had been extremely hot the past few days. Almost as if it's already summer. By the way, speaking of Detective Oishi, I think we're in the timeline where he's a good person. Because remember, in Game 1, he was a good person who actually cares more about helping people than about his job. In Game 2, he's not necessarily a good person or a bad person, he's just a man who puts his job first ahead of everything else. And Job 3, he's a very bad person who cares more about hurting people and being sadistic than he does about doing his job. I believe we have Game 1 variant, where he's a kind person. That's good. When you have a June festival with bond dance music under this kind of weather, the only thing that's missing to make it a perfect summer festival is fireworks. Bizzed, bizzed. This is Kumagai. Oishi-san? Can you hear me? Over. I heard a voice coming from my portable radio. With this earphone, it looks a little like I'm secretly listening to the horse races while on duty. This is Oishi. I can hear you loud and clear. The town councilors gave us a lot of food. We have oden, yakisoba, pork belly stew, and some barley tea. Nyahaha. Do you mean the barley tea we can drink on duty? Or the one we can't drink on duty? Well. If it's a canned drink, I'll take it. If it's in a cup, don't worry about it. Roger that. And All the members of the town council are here to say hi. We have the mayor and the head of the Sonozaki family, too. What, that old bag Oryu is there? Can you tell her that I'm patrolling right now and don't know when I'll be back? Well, I don't think I can do that for you, sir. She knows you have a portable radio, so she told me to call you and tell you to bring you back here. She looks really mad. Nah, I'm sure it'll be a stroke that kills her. Roger that. Tell her with extreme courtesy that I'll be back soon, please. Oh, well, I guess I'll have to go back and mingle with the locals. All of a sudden, a group of kids came running towards me from behind. After a quick look at them, I noticed that they were the granddaughter of the old hag and her friends. They occupied a corner of the shooting gallery stall, making a lot of noise. Mion Sonozaki. When acting her age, she's a cute, normal girl. But do I ever hate it when she acts like a member of the Sonozaki family? She'll be the boss of the Okonomiya Yakuza territory in 10 or 20 years. Just you wait and see. Oh, and while I was thinking things like that, I noticed that Mion wasn't the one taking leadership of the group this time. It was the boy. That boy. I know him. He just moved here recently. The boy from the Mabura mansion. Keiichi Mabura-kun, was it? I heard that the Mabura family is from the city, and they're supposedly very rich too. But he doesn't flaunt his family's wealth, and he has a good reputation because of that. Even though he just moved here, he's already adjusted to his new school, and he's popular with his classmates too. Everyone in the village seems to like him as well. He's very interesting to watch as a person of many moods. Boys of his age sure have a lot of energy. Ah, to be young again. Hey, you're up next, Rena. You're lucky it's your turn. Rena, are you okay? Are you feeling sick? I'm sorry. I guess I have to pass on taking a shot. Okay, you should take a break for a bit. So, that would make it my turn, no? Victory shall be mine. It looked like only 4 of them were having a good time. The girl called Rena seemed outside of that circle of smiles. Her name is Rena Ryugu. What was her real name? I couldn't remember, but I can check when I get back to the station. Rena is only a nickname. I believe she moved here a year before Mabura-kun did. Her mother divorced her father, or something like that. She's a strong girl who does all the housework by herself. She's a very modest girl, I'm told, which is rare in this era. Unlike Mabura-kun, it seemed like she hadn't really opened up to her friends just yet. They had looked like a group of 5, but there's distance between her and the others. It's a little sad, you know. Mabura-kun has become a part of the village, but Rena is still by herself. Well, that's just how it looks to me. Biz, Oishi-san, the chief and the section manager are here. Please come back as soon as possible. Roger that. I can't believe the chief came all the way here just to say hi to the locals. I guess he's very dedicated to community service, eh? This is Takatsugi. Oishi-san, can you hear me? Do you copy? Over? Yes, I hear you. I'm on my way back right now. I'll be there in a minute. If I don't hurry up, even the chief might end up calling me. I ran back to the headquarters tent. Oishi-san, Dr. Irie is here. Oh, Thank you so much for coming. So what do you think, Dr. Irie? We entered the cordoned off area, and there people from forensics were taking pictures of the corpse from various angles. Irie was squatting down next to the dead body of Jiro Tomataki. When he stood up, he looked pale. I can't believe it. I know. I can't believe it either. Again, do you guys say either or either? I don't really say one more often than the other. I just say whichever one I feel like saying at the moment. It seems to be 50-50. As far as I see, he clawed out his own throat with his bare hands. This isn't a normal way to go. Most likely it was the cause of some drug or something. What would you guys think if that was how everyone died? Like, no matter what killed you, you'd claw at your own throat. You have a stroke? Heart attack? Car accident? Heck. Let's say even if you get guillotined or shot by a squad, lethal injection, or even your head gets blown off. Your body has that at close to death or like whenever your time is, like just saying, what if everyone in the world, whenever their time came, if they died of old age or peacefully in their sleep, they just started clawing at their throat as they were sleeping? Are you saying he was a drug addict? Who knows? I guess it's going to be my job to find that out. Oishi-san, what's with this 2x4? Maybe he was swinging it around, then he threw it away and had more fun clawing at his own throat, I guess. Why was he swinging a piece of lumber around? He probably did it in self-defense. Did you notice there are several external injuries on his body? Yes, I can see some bruises. The easiest explanation I can think of is that he was attacked by someone on his way home to Okonomiya from the festival. He was seized with the culprit, given a shot of some kind of dangerous drug, went crazy, and died. I've never heard of any drug that can make people claw at their own throats. You'd guys be surprised how many different types of drugs are out there. Granted, I've never done any illegal drugs or anything. In fact, the only drugs I've ever taken anyway have always been prescription by a doctor. That being said, I, at one point when I was younger, considered the idea of becoming a scientist, perhaps in the chemical or medical or biologic fields. I mean, I did graduate high school with an honors diploma, straight A's, 4.0. I even aced classes like calculus, physics, and chemistry back then. Heck, I remember taking IQ tests back when I was like 13, 12, and 14. So at 132. But always had an interest in a lot of things. I don't know if I have autism or ADHD. Couldn't really afford college. I did try to do a little bit of online college, but it turned to be a scam, so kind of fucked me out of a lot of my savings. But that was like close to 2 decades ago. I do feel like I'm not as smart as I feel like I've gained more experience at my age, but I've gotten dumber. Then again, I've had a lot of concussions. I've been hit by a truck. I can still feel a scar where I had like a dozen plus staples left side of my skull. I've been poisoned. I've had like a dozen fevers of 106 degrees Fahrenheit. Once even 107. I've had meningitis, encephalitis, swelling of the brain, swelling of the spinal cord. Heck, was in the ICU, the intensive care unit, for 3 days for that, getting pumped full of chemicals by doctors to keep me from dying. So, I had a lot of blows to the head. And there was a period in my time where I was extraordinarily sleep deprived. I think I spent a couple years sleeping maybe 1 or 2 hours a day. Sometimes I'd go 40 plus hours without sleeping. I think in general the longest period of times I was ever awake was like 60 hours. The longest I was ever awake period was 68 hours, which I know there's people out there that can go much longer than that, but what's kind of funny, I remember the time that I was awake for 68 hours. Toward the end of that, I had sat down, and I had sat down for a couple hours. And then at the end of that couple hours, when I was ready to keep, get up and keep being awake, I still felt wide awake. But my legs didn't work anymore. They just refused to. I couldn't actually feel anything from my waist down at that moment. My legs were just locked into place. So I decided I didn't really have a choice. I had to go to sleep. I think I rocked back and forth until I went up on my back. My legs were actually locked in place in the air. Then again, that was long before the times of sleep deprivation. I was just awake a long time for some reason back then. But that was over 20 years ago, whereas the main part of my sleep deprivation was a little bit over a decade ago. Particularly when I had this one job. There was a job I was working like 11, 12-hour shifts or so. Occasionally I'd be at work for like 13 hours. And that job did not pay well. But that was several jobs ago. But I forget what oh right. Just saying I do have a interest in just anything scientific. Heck, I used to watch a lot of the History Channel and stuff like that even when I was like 9 and 10 years old. Whether it be stuff about history, like World War I, World War II, or further back in time, or even stuff about the planet before humanity, or particularly dinosaurs, or even just things about, history of technology. Electricity, automobiles, space travel, physics. But it is interesting to know the different types of chemicals that exist and the effects things like that have on the human body, whether it be the organs or the brain. But technically there are drugs and medical conditions that can do just about anything you can think of, including this. Just saying, it's fascinating to just watch things on the History Channel in the past. I haven't watched the actual History Channel in a long time. I don't know if the content's up to snuff anymore. By that I mean I just feel like a lot of things aren't as good as they used to be. Like, take Jurassic Park. The original Jurassic Park movie I thought was really, really great. That being said, a couple days ago, Jurassic Park 7 just came out. And I haven't seen it, but all the trailers I've seen of it just... they look boring. It looks terrible. It looks stupid. And everyone who does see it seems to think it's a horrible movie. Whereas I can go back and look at a trailer of the original Jurassic Park and I'm like, that looks interesting. Spaceball 2 comes out in 27. I think I'll be interested to see that. I'm not a specialist, but many drug addicts injure themselves when they're in a terminal condition. Well, I'm sure the old man of forensics will take care of the investigation. Excuse me, Oishi-san, we found a bicycle, believed to belong to Jiro Tomataki. About 100 meters away from here. Oh, that's great. Thanks for the find. Any other clues? Not yet. They're investigating it right now. So that means the place where the bicycle was found is most likely the place he was attacked. And then he ran away from the suspect and ended up here. Oishi frowned, crossing his arms in front of his chest. I already was looking at the miserable corpse of Tomataki, and I kept saying the same thing over and over. It's impossible. It's just impossible. Doctor, it happened, so it was possible, okay? Try to think flexibly. Although I get that you don't want to really see something like this every day, despite being a doctor. Anyway, thanks for your cooperation. You can go home now. We called you here for emergency medical care, but it looks like it was a waste of a trip, sorry. Oishi stuck his head out of the blue tent and asked, "Does anybody give him a ride home?" Irie gasped all of a sudden as he turned to Oishi. What about Takano-san? What happened to Takano-san? What? Oh, your nurse. I think she was with him. Is she okay? Do you know her phone number? Of course. Guys, it's 1983 in this game. I don't think phones existed. We still have the payphones with the rotary style. And people nowadays don't even know what a payphone is. Heck, people nowadays don't even know what a VCR is, or the static snow that would happen on old TVs. Heck, TV screens don't even exist the same way anymore. Cathode rays and RGB LED bricks. Kuma-chan, get her phone number from Dr. Irie and make someone at the station call her house. Understood. Doctor, can I have the number? Yes, here it is. Kumagai got the phone number from Irie, repeated it back, and then dashed away from the blue target. Doctor, Takano-san and Tomataki-san were close friends, right? Yes. Have you heard about any troubles between them? No, not even once. They were very close. Yes, well, I hope that she's okay. In the worst case, she could be dead, or she could be the culprit. I see nurses have access to dangerous drugs. We don't have anything like that in my clinic. Even if we did, we'd be extra careful of them. There's no way Takano-san can smuggle out a drug from my clinic, but it's easier for nurses to do it than regular people, right? Like I said, I've never heard of a drug like that, and I don't have anything like that in my clinic. Oishi-san, she isn't at home. The standby unit says they're going to go check her house, right? Doctor, can you give me her address? Kuma-chan, can you also check the police headquarters has found any identified female bodies tonight? Maybe we should check the other prefectures too. Tell the section manager if he can call the headquarters of the nearby prefectures and ask if they have any unidentified female bodies. Yes, sir. Are you saying that Takano-san might also be dead? Well, I don't know. I don't know if she's dead or if she's the culprit. Oh, of course, it's possible she's not involved at all. She might just be getting drunk in a bar somewhere. It's unbelievable who does things like this. Well, it's unbelievable to me, too. This fits with the rest of the mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. It's been 5 years now. That would make this the 5th curse of Oyoshiro-sama. Damn it, I've got to get whoever's behind this here for sure. I really want to put an end to these cases before I retire. Oishi hates the curse of Oyoshiro-sama. It had been leading him around by the nose for 5 consecutive years. The victim of the first year, the manager of the damp construction site, was his friend. Despite his desire to avenge his friend, The mystery had only deepened, and one case followed another, year after year. Oishi would be retiring next March. As a retiree, he'd be able to ask about the progress of the investigation, but he wouldn't be able to take the initiative anymore. In other words, this year was his last chance for revenge. Would he have to put his head in the lion's mouth to capture the culprit? Oishi quietly clenched his fist. I believe that this maze is an exit. Maze is a very convenient word. A maze always has an exit. You don't call it a maze if it doesn't have one. I know I'm on the right path towards the exit of this maze. I used to miss these minor divergences, but now I don't miss anything. I don't make any mistakes. This time I could feel a response that was different than all the other times. I'm sure I can finally get to the exit of this maze. But no matter which path I choose to come to this point, Jiro Toмотaki always dies. Are we Rika in that situation? Was that last paragraph in Rika's point of view, or Oishi's, or both? Or was it Oya Shirazama? Rena had been sick ever since that day, and she hadn't been able to join in on club activities as often since. Yeah, I still feel feverish. Go to the doctor! If you have a fever that long, you need to go to the doctor. You do, huh? That's a pity. Hey, Rena, why don't you just try and play with us today? I think you'd feel a lot better if you blow off some steam with us. You got this old man's agreement? Do you think so, do you? Sometimes resting too much is bad for you. They're quite correct. An illness comes from the mind, don't you know? Everybody has suspected for a while that Rena isn't really sick, at least physically. It's just that things happen to her at once. Many. She caught a mental cold. That's why I thought she would get better once she played with us, just like we used to. I think this is from Rika's point of view. It seemed like Rena was aware of that too. She knew that she had to get out of her state of depression soon. She wanted to get better, and she wanted to have fun again every day. Okay, I'll do it. Great. That's the spirit. Considering the fact that Rena is still recovering from her illness, let's play a tabletop game today. Let me see. Mion started rummaging through her locker, humming to herself. She took one game after another from the locker and put them aside. That locker definitely didn't obey the laws of physics. The amount of games she took out from the locker was more than what it could possibly hold. Oh, I forgot about this one. Let's try this. Today, we'll be playing this detective game. Oh, what's that? Sounds interesting. Well, this is a game where you guess the culprit, murder weapon, and the scene of the crime. Guys, this is the worst game we could be playing right now. This is a terrible idea, Mion. I blame you, Mion. I blame you. Damn it, Marty! We shouldn't be playing Clue, or the Game of Life, or Monopoly. Grant, I would say we should play a Super Nintendo, but even a normal Nintendo hasn't been invented yet. Heck, I don't even think Ataris exist. It's a game where you can use your brain. You'll pick it up as you play. All you need to do is note down the information you have. Oh ho ho! In other words, you'll need to learn the trick of note-taking. This is a game for intelligent people like myself. The rules don't seem that difficult. In short, it's a game where you should sound out the cards each player holds in order to try and reason out the identity of the cards first drawn out of the deck. There are plenty of games in different formats where you have to identify something's hidden in the least number of steps. This one just happens to be a competitive one of those. The key to winning this game would be how well you can organize your information. We usually like to play athletic games so we can run around a lot, but in our club you have to excel both academically and athletically. Alright, this is gonna be great. Let's play. Rena, do you remember how we still haven't decided the winner of the water gun battle? We're gonna settle it today, once and for all. Oh, are you? Then I'm not going to go easy on you. If Rena is getting serious, I'll have to get serious too. Yes. Indeed. Since the water gun battle, I have reevaluated Kiichi-san and Rena-san. I'm going to be merciless today. Ah, this is getting exciting. This old man's waiting for everyone to get this fired up. Excellent. Let's do this. Are you ready? I did it with a knife in the library. Okay, my turn. Cage-kun did it with poison in the hall. My turn. Mion did it with a pistol in my lounge. Hehehe. You're holding the pistol, aren't you? You're bluffing. I think I know the suspect in the murder weapon. I've narrowed down the scene of the crime to 2. How? You're good, Rika-chan. I've narrowed down the suspect to 2. But it's hard to pin down which one it is. Foreshadowing. I'll give you a tip. There's always a hint in the questions the other players ask you. If you can figure it out, you can even solve the whole mystery by the order of the cards the others put down on the table. I see. Damn it, I understand the depth of this game. Oh no, my notes are such a mess. I can't even read my own handwriting. Ahaha. Once you acquire the skill in note-taking, you have a 70% chance to win this game. But even a 70% chance won't be enough to defeat me. I kind of knew I didn't stand a chance of winning this game, but I gradually started picking it up. Rena seemed to be getting her energy back as she played along. It was the right decision to force her to play with us today. While we were in the middle of the game, Chie-sensei came into the classroom. My, you look like you're having fun. Anyway, is Ryugu-san here? How? You have a visitor. Everybody looked puzzled. Parents sometimes showed up at his school for some reason, but Chie-sensei never called them visitors. It's rare to have a visitor at school. I wonder who it is. Well, I have to go. You can continue without me. Rena left the classroom at a run. What should we do? Should we wait for her? Well, we don't know how long it's going to take. Rena told us we could continue, so let's do that. Yeah. Around the entrance, the glaring sun and the cool shade made for a clear contrast. An old man who's holding his jacket on his arm was waiting for me. He looked like he was overheating, and his tie was limp. Are you Ryugu-san? Rina? Ryugu-san? Ever since Rina called me Rina, I've hated that name for more than a year. Because of that, I didn't have a good first impression of this man. Yes, that's me. May I ask you who you are? My car has air conditioning, so why don't we move this into there? Aren't you hot out here? He ignored my question and started walking towards the car parked in front of the school gate. If he wanted to talk about something normal, we would have used the teacher's office, but he wanted to talk in his car instead. I couldn't help but feel suspicious. Chie-sensei let him see me, though. That meant he wasn't a suspicious individual, as far as she was concerned. Who was he? I don't bite, you know. Please, this way. He called out to me while opening the rear door. Is he a policeman? Did the police find out that I killed those two? I felt anxious all of a sudden. Was this what they called a voluntary interview? I didn't want to go into that car, but if I rejected his offer, it would only make me look suspicious. I prepared myself and got in. It was really cool inside the car. A car AC must cost a fortune. At least my father's car doesn't have one. Please let me know if it's too cold. I like keeping it that way. So, what's this talk about? In retaliation, I ignored his question and got to the point like he did. He pulled a small notebook out of his breast pocket and flipped through it. He picked out a photo from it. The photo showed the face of a goofy-looking man. Please tell me if there's anything you know about this person. The man in the picture was expressionless and looked half asleep. Sometimes you can't even recognize your own family members in a photo where they don't have an expression. So there's no way I would recognize a person who wasn't related to me. But anyway, that was a bit of a relief. This had nothing to do with Rena or her partner. There were scribbles on his shirt, and we found the signatures of students at the school, including yours, Ryu-san. Eh? Is this Toмотaki-san? I don't feel his usual carefree unreliableness from this picture at all, from this half-awake, emotionless face. How about this woman, then? I knew what he was going to show. Her name is Mio-san, Mio Takano-san. When did you see them last? I think it was right after the Watanagashi festival. Didn't you notice anything strange? Anything? Please tell me. Did something happen to them? Yeah, I got it. Tell you the truth, I wasn't sure if it was Rena or Mion. So you gambled? How risky. It doesn't matter how he won. What matters is that he won. Oh, Rena. Welcome back. What took you so long? Mion noticed that Rena had returned. She looked exhausted. I have no idea what she talked about with the visitor, but it was obvious that it wasn't something fun. Rena? Are you okay? What? What's okay? What? I'm talking about you. You look pale. Are you sure you're alright? Rena tried to convince us she was fine, but her face clouded over for a moment, and she decided to leave early. I shouldn't have forced her to join the game. I was regretting it a little. Rena had probably forced herself to play along with us, even though she wasn't feeling well at all. Rena put her stuff in a bag, apologized to us for leaving early, and left the classroom. Well, she's gone now. I guess we have to keep playing until we have a loser. That's right. Whose turn is it? Meep. Okay, Rika-chan, come on. First of all, I wasn't very close to Mio-san. I knew who she was, so I greeted her whenever we happened to pass by, but that was about it. I never really talked to her except for that one time. And that time was only recently. It was between the day of the Watanagashi festival and the day I was caught in the act of burying the corpses by Kiichi-kun and my other friends. I had a phone call from the library that evening, and I was told that my father needed to return a book he borrowed. He was shopping at the home improvement store at the time, so I went to the library to return the book for him. While I was there, I thought of borrowing some books for myself when I started walking around the library. I saw her there. Oh. Rena-chan. Hello. Mio-san. Hello to you too. I didn't expect to see you here. Really? I was going to say the same thing. I always spend time here and I've never seen you. Hee. She smiled in the very attractive and charming way that only mature women can do. Her smile gave no indication that she knew her death was just a few days away. She said that she often met with Tomitaki-san in the library. It seemed like she had some time to kill, so she told me that she wanted to buy me a drink. I had nothing to do after that. I let her buy me canned iced milk and tea from the vending machine in the library. We talked for a while. Once I came to think about it, it was a little ironic. She mostly talked about the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. She had no idea that she was going to be the victim of its 5th year. The series of mysterious deaths? You've heard about it at least once, haven't you? 4 years ago, the manager of the dam site construction was murdered. 3 years ago, the Hojo couple died. 2 years ago, the Furude couple died. And last year was Sadako-chan's aunt. And the series of mysterious deaths has been going on for 4 years now. And in a few days, it'll be the 5th. I've heard about it, but you don't know for sure that somebody will die this year. This is literally like a day after we fucking killed people. I do. Someone will die in a few days for sure. That's the old saying, everything that happens twice will happen a 3rd time. So isn't it also true that what happens 4 times will happen a 5th? Mio-san was convinced that the 5th mysterious death was going to happen, but she didn't know she was going to be the 5th victim. That's ironic and also really creepy. But there was always something. There was always something creepy about her. So maybe she knew that she was going to be killed in a few days, but still managed to make that mysterious smile. A series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. Of course, I know about it. I've lived here for more than a year. Every year on the day of the Watanagashi festival, one traitor to the village dies mysteriously. It's been that way since the dam conflict. Each case was solved individually, but mysterious incidents still happen every year. It makes me wonder if there's some kind of will to all this. The creepiness and incomprehensibility of it all gave rise to the name, the Curse of Oyashiro-sama, which fit perfectly. Despite this, I always thought the Curse of Oyashiro-sama was just a series of coincidences. My reason for that is because I strongly believe that Satoshi-kun was the one who murdered his aunt in the 4th year. I don't have any evidence, but I just know it. I know that Satoshi-kun was in a serious predicament last year, and that he had nowhere to turn. He had no one to help him, but he had to save Satoko-chan as soon as he could. Satoshi-kun thought it through and made the best choice he could to handle the situation, just like I did when I had my problem of Rina. Was it Rina? Rina. I hesitated to inform Mio-san that Satoshi-kun was the murder on the 4th year, so I just listened to her for a while. According to her theory, the series of mysterious deaths isn't just a set of coincidences, but is instead a series of interrelated murder cases. At that point, my theory was completely the opposite of hers, but I decided not to cut in. You know about the cult of Oyashiro-sama here in Hinamizawa, don't you? Takano-san started telling me that Hinamizawa was once called Onukafushi. She also explained the story of how the villagers were in the old days, showing me the scrapbook she was so proud of. The villagers back then were called man-eating demons, but they also admired his transcendence and liked people not bound by earthly desires. There's also the saying that many of the stories of the past about demons are actually about aliens. So according to your theory, a group of cultists who worship Oyashiro-sama are living in Hinamizawa, and they're trying to show the power of their god by enacting a series of mysterious deaths, right? I'm not sure if we should call them cultists or fundamentalists. The line between them is very vague. I think the main difference is, like, it's different levels of extreme. I would say a cultist is someone who is more extreme and irrational than a fundamentalist. Essentially what a fundamentalist is somebody who takes certain core tenets of a belief system to an extreme and are very, very rigid in how they think and see things. I guess one could look at it as, say, the Pharisees. Like Jesus, condemned the Pharisees for one, for being too overly concerned with the letter of the law rather than the intent and perceived righteousness. Basically just doing what you're supposed to, just following orders and what people think of you. Now, I'd say the biggest difference between a cultist and a fundamentalist would be a cultist is much more extreme, and also usually cults will refuse to consider any sort of... They won't be open-minded at all, very close-minded, and they're also the kind of people that would be violent, judgmental, or even excommunicate people for having differences of opinion. Basically, you have to have groupthink. You have to agree with 100% of the group, or else you're expelled. So it's either all or nothing. There's no discussion, there's no trying to understand. And usually cults, I would say, try to isolate people, and I would say any sort of dissent, free speech, communication, or even talking with outside groups will be... So I'd guess more extreme. So cultists would be more extreme, and I would say more emotionally abusive and controlling, and more violent. I mean, really, any group that would be fundamentalist, where it's like, because usually that's where you're a lot less open-minded, and you're a lot more, like I said, everything's supposed to be a balance. In the Meiji era, when the name of the village was changed to Hinamizawa, the customs and traditions of Onagafushi were brought to an end. I think there are some people who want to revive those traditions and regain the name and awe of Onagafushi. Mio-san's theory was more than a little crazy, but it was also fascinating. At first, her theory had sounded like she was just jumping to conclusions, but after she eagerly showed me the documents she'd been studying, I started to think that it wasn't actually too far from the truth. If her theory was true, it would mean that the accidental deaths of the Hojo couple in the second year, and the suicide and the death by disease, the Furude couple in the third year, and the drug-addict murderer in the fourth year were all cooked up. It means someone who has a lot of power and influence over the police was involved. When I pointed that out, Mio-san nodded in agreement, and she started talking about how strongly they were rooted in the village and how deeply they were involved with many public organizations. After she finished explaining all that, I finally noticed that Mio-san was suggesting that the three families, including Sonozaki family, were the masterminds behind the murder incidents. In fact, the Sonozaki family really is very powerful. They hold influence not only over the Hinamizawa and Okinomiya, but also over the entire Shishibone area. It might not be wrong to say that they even hold influence over the entire prefecture. If the Sonozaki family is behind all this, her theory would be more realistic. But that means I should be suspicious of Mi-chan. No, I shouldn't. But in fact, Mi-chan was very cold and unkind to Satoshi when he was going through a tough time. I know there was a conflict between the Sonozaki family and the Hojo family during the Dam Wars, but still, she was very cold to Satoshi-kun. But Mi-chan admitted that what she did was wrong, and I forgave her too. I didn't want to think about that again. I decided to change the subject because I knew it would make me feel uncomfortable if we kept talking about the Sonozaki. No one has remembered that Shion has existed since Rena met her at the coffee shop about the whole telling her about the stuff about the badgers. We have not even. Is Shion even alive still? First of all, what is the people's belief in Oyashiro-sama all about? Well, that Oyashiro-sama came down from the sky to unite the demons and the humans. What else comes down from the sky? Aliens. Oyashiro-sama's an alien. And Oyashiro-sama is from a race of aliens that are watching over Hinamizawa. It's a little funny that demons and humans wanted to coexist. In folktales, humans usually try to wipe out the demons. That's quite true. That's why Oyashiro-sama is so interesting. However, there are actually many stories that say people in old days worshipped a god that drifted to our world from the land of the gods. It's the worship of drifted gods, in other words. There are a number of myths all over the world about people worshipping a god who came from beyond the sea, or from up the river. The gods in those are actually people who came from different countries, right? That's the general theory, yes. Ancient Japanese culture was far behind that of other nations. When Japanese people in those days saw a foreigner from a developed country, they were so impressed by the knowledge the person had, they started worshipping him as a god. That's one theory. I have heard that Red Oni and Blue Oni were actually foreigners who drifted ashore in Japan because their boats got shipwrecked. The Japanese may have created Tengu out of foreigners, too. They probably saw a foreigner who had reddish skin with a very long nose. Wow, you're pretty sharp, Rena-chan. I agree with you. I think most drifted god worship are based on encounters with foreigners. But if that's so, Onokafushi's drifted god worship would have a contradiction. Do you know what it is? No, I don't. It's easy. Onokafushi isn't adjacent to the sea. Oh, of course. In order to have any connection to foreigners, the place in question must also have a connection to the outside world. In Western countries, that connection would be rivers running between adjacent countries. In Japan, that connection would be the ocean. So most of the drifted god stories of Japan originate near the shores. Isn't there a possibility that the foreigner washed ashore somewhere else first and then traveled to Onokafushi? Well, the thing about the worship of Oyashiro-sama is, it specifically pinpoints Onokafushi's swamp as the place where the demons first appeared. The swamp isn't connected to any rivers, so how could a foreigner wash up there? That's why the mystery of Oyashiro-sama is so interesting. How much do you know about the legend of Oyashiro-sama? I just read a picture book about it in school. I feel like I know a lot about it, but I actually don't. Didn't we have hallucinations after we beat the fucking shit out of several people in a school building with a baseball bat, then bashed out all of the windows throughout the entire school building? We also had hallucinations of Oyashiro-sama leaning over our bed talking to us, telling us that we have to go back to Hinamizawa and that our parents' divorce was God punishing us for leaving the village, that our family was cursed because how dare we go outside and touch grass. Go to Akihabara. I just have an extreme fear of the rule not to leave Hinamizawa. After all, my life went wrong after I left. I felt dizzy when I tried to think about it further, so I stopped. When everything went wrong in Ibaraki... Wow, I can I completely said a different Japanese city. By the way, I have no idea where in Japan Ibaraki or Akihabara are. Then again, I don't even know where, like, if you showed me a picture of Japan, I would not be able to point to you where, like, Tokyo or Kyoto is. I met Oyashiro-sama. He told me to go back to Hinamizawa. No, I'll get dizzy. Don't try to remember. Don't try to remember the alien invasion. Don't try to remember the alien abductions. Don't remember the aliens. I can't remember. I got desperate because I felt responsible for the divorce. I just used Oyashiro-sama as an excuse for my mental instability. And I told my father I wanted to go back to Hinamizawa, right? But wait. Oyashiro-sama did come to me. Oh no, the colors are too dazzling. I can only remember the vivid color of the pills and the dizziness. That's all you need to know. The demons came out of Ungafushi Swamp and they attacked the villagers. Oyashiro-sama saw it and came down to save the villagers from the demons that exited by exiling them to hell. The demons cried and the villagers felt bad for them. They decided to let the demons live in the village with them. Oyashiro-sama was impressed with the kind hearts of the villagers, so he gave human forms to the demons and let them coexist. The blood of the demons blended with that of the villagers as they lived alongside each other. That's exactly what I read in a book. I felt dizzy, like I was going to faint because I touched the one memory I didn't want to. People say that most myths are based on an event of some sort that happened long ago. What event do you think is the truth behind this myth? Because I was still feeling dizzy, all I could do was tilt my head quizzically. It seemed like Mio-san was expecting that response. Because she smiled, looked satisfied, that she successfully made me confused. She took a scrapbook out of her paper bag. I'll let you borrow this for a while. Thank you. But Don't worry, just read it whenever you have some time to kill. I want to know what you think about the things written in this scrapbook. I'd like to know even if you disagree with me, because you really are very sharp. Jiro-san isn't interested in things like this at all, so I appreciate your input. I had little choice but to take the scrapbook. Apparently Mio-san came to the library often, so I figured I could return it to her whenever I came to return my books. However, the day I'd returned the scrapbook to Mio-san never came. What's wrong? You don't look good. Are you feeling okay? I caught a summer cold. I'm still recovering from it. It wasn't the summer cold that was making me feel dizzy. I always get dizzy when I try to remember the time I met Oyashiro-sama in Ibaraki. I mustered all my courage and asked her. My memory of those days in Ibaraki is blurry. I know I met Oyashiro-sama. Nobody believed me and they told me that it was an hallucination. But I thought Mio-san would listen to me. Mio-san? Can I talk to you about something? Yes, of course. You listen to me, so it's my turn to listen to you. Well, it's about Oyashiro-sama. You might laugh at me. I won't. You didn't laugh at me either. Mio-san said it in a very gentle and mature way, and that encouraged me. Even so, I hesitated to talk, but there was probably nobody but Mio-san with whom I could talk about something like this. I gathered my courage again and spoke. I have met Oyashiro-sama. You have? Yes. I used to live in Namizawa until right before I went to elementary school. My mother got a job in Ibaraki, so we moved. Well, you know what that means, right? Yes, I do. You broke the rule of Oyashiro-sama, which is never to leave Hinamizawa. That's right. And then many things happened. My mother divorced my father, my family was broken. I got desperate and did some bad things. It must have been terrible. Then what happened? I started hating everything in this world, and I started to feel like everybody who was happy was looking down on me. That's when a mysterious existence started to appear. You mean Oyashiro-sama? The first time it came to me was, please don't tell anybody about this. It was when I started injuring myself by cutting my body with a knife. I cut my neck, and something very dirty and gross came out with the blood from the wound. It was, I'm not going to laugh, go on. The chill I felt at that time came back to me. I sealed that memory away so that I wouldn't have to remember ever again. But once I unsealed it, I started remembering things, one after another. Yes, back then there was something in the blood, something crawling. It was countless dark red maggots. They squirmed up and out from my neck with each drop of blood, but they wanted to stay in my body, so they crawled back in through the cut. I didn't want those creepy things to get back inside my body, so I clawed at the cut on my neck to get them out. But it hurt so much, and it only made my hands and neck bloody. I got scared all of a sudden. I was scared because I thought there were many nasty maggots in my blood vessels, so I cut a blood vessel on my thigh just to see how it looked. I thought I could see it better if it was my thigh. Then they oozed out from there too, so many of them. I understand, Ryugu-san, so please calm down. No, you don't understand. The maggots came out with my blood, but then they tried to get back inside my veins. It really, really itches. Please bring a doctor. No, don't claw at it like that. Bring me a sedative. Hurry. Hold her down. Please kill the maggots in my veins. Please take all the blood out of my body and flush my veins out. There are so many of them in there. Why don't you believe me? I'll show you. You'll believe me if you see them, right? I don't want to get any more shots. No. Calm down. Okay? Miyo-san sat next to me and held my hands tightly. Her touch brought me back to reality. So, what happened? Nobody believed me, but then he showed up. Oyashiro-sama came to me. The memory was very vague, and I saw flickering lights. It made it difficult for me to remember. I met Oyashiro-sama. That sentence is all I remembered. The memory of actually meeting Oyashiro-sama was unbelievably vague. After I got out of the hospital, I continued being treated at home. I still felt something moving in my veins, so I wanted to cut my body to make the blood ooze out so I could make sure that there were no maggots in there. Usually I was sleeping like the dead because of the strong pills I was taking, but one day I forgot to take the pill, and my consciousness was very clear. I felt the maggots moving in my veins, and I felt the urge to look inside. I cut a vein on my wrist. I knew it. A lot of blood and many dusky red maggots came out from the wound. I wanted to wash them off before they crawled back inside me, so I put my wrist under running water in the bathroom sink, and I tried to open the vein. Water, blood, and maggots ran down into the drain, just like squeezing out the pus from a pimple. I squeezed the vein to get rid of the dirty blood and the maggots. I kept doing it. My arms started to feel numb, and I felt cold, but I kept doing it. I thought I might die from losing too much blood, but I kept doing it. My body was filled with maggots. I had to squeeze all my blood out from me. And then a very bright light shone upon me. It was a very bizarre sensation. I had never experienced anything like it in my life. All of a sudden the dark bathroom was filled with a bright light. It was very bright, but gentle. It wasn't like the light from the merciless fluorescent bulb. It was very warm and gentle. That was Oyashiro-sama. Oyashiro-sama was looking at me with gentleness and sadness in his eyes. As he touched my wound, the maggots started melting and disappearing in front of my eyes. That wasn't all. All the maggots that were moving throughout all my veins disappeared too. Oyashiro-sama taught me. These maggots were the curse. People with the demon's blood can't live outside of Hinamizawa. It's the rule. Unfortunately, you've been cursed. It's very sad, and I feel sorry for you. There was only one way to save you. That's what he said. What should I do? The answer is very simple. All I need to do is go back to Hinamizawa. I unconsciously knew that before I heard it from Oyashiro-sama. People who were born in Hinamizawa must never leave. But I broke Oyashiro-sama's rules, and I left Hinamizawa. That's why my family was broken and I lost my mind. If I hadn't left Hinamizawa, nothing would have gone wrong. And so I had to go back. Oyashiro-sama also told me this. He could make the maggots the embodiment of the curse disappear, but only temporarily because I lived far from Hinamizawa. After all, the power of Oyashiro-sama would fade away and the curse would start eating my body again. If that happened, the maggots would take over my body and I would go insane and die. Does anyone else remember Princess Mononoke? I feel like this is relevant. I must go back to Hinamizawa before his power to hold down the curse faded away. That's what Oyashiro-sama told me. He did, I heard him tell me that. I should have gone back to Hinamizawa earlier. That's why Oyashiro-sama came to me to put his curse on me. But he gave me a chance. He gave me a chance to pay for my sin of leaving Hinamizawa. Dad, listen, Oyashiro-sama is going to help us. Let's go back to Hinamizawa. Hinamizawa is a place where we must live. If we don't, not only me, but you might be cursed too. Let's go back to Hinamizawa. That's the only place where we can live. We need to hurry. What about your mom? Why is she alive? I mean, does she not count on that rule about not living in Hinamizawa? Is your mom still alive? Did she, ever have a problem with the curse? We need to hurry. We need to hurry or Oyashiro-sama's power will fade away. And my body will be eaten by the maggots. Oh no, Oyashiro-sama's following me. He's telling me to hurry. He follows me everywhere. He keeps telling me to hurry. He's apologizing to me for putting his curse on me. He follows me everywhere and he keeps apologizing. I'm telling you the truth. I am. Why can't anybody see it? Why can't they see the maggots or Oyashiro-sama? Everybody's trying to fool me. I know they can see them too. No. Please stop. I don't want to get another shot. Ah. Are you okay? I was breathing hard and Miyo-san was holding my shoulders. I could feel that the terrible memory I had been trying to forget was awakening. The doctors told me the memory was just my delusion. They told me that since I blamed myself for the divorce, I unconsciously had a desire to blame someone else for it, and I unconsciously connected the desire to the folk tale of Oyashiro-sama that I read when I was a little kid. I got drug treatment, received counseling, and waited. I gradually got better, and that proved the things I saw were just a hallucination. The doctors asked my father to consider moving to Hinamizawa, if possible. Fortunately, he wanted to change his living environment to heal his pain from the divorce as well. So, we came back to Hinamizawa. After we came back to Hinamizawa, I felt it. I felt it in my bones that this was the place we should live. And I also felt Oyashiro-sama's blessing. I definitely felt it. I felt the curse of Oyashiro-sama starting to break. I was free. After I moved here, I went to the clinic in Golgura for a while. The doctor gave me the same poisonous-looking pills, and I kept taking them for a while. The terrible memory gradually became unclear. Whenever I tried to remember it, I could only remember the strong side effect of the pills, and it made me dizzy. That's how I regained my peace. And then I changed my name, Raina. The reason was because my name reminded me of those bad memories. I didn't want to have anything icky in my life anymore. That's why I came with the idea of taking icky things out. After I took the I of icky from my name, Raina, there was only Ri and Na left. That's how Brenna was born. I liked that. When I was introduced to my classmates, I told them to call me Rena. Since then, That had been my name. I'm living my new life as Rena. I cut away all the sad things that happened when I was Rena. My father still calls me Rena, but I don't feel bad, as long as it was just my father and my relatives. But then, Rena came into my life one day, and she called me Rena. Because she called me Rena, those colored lights started flickering again. I should stop. I should forget about it. The lights were still flickering. I'm sorry. Was I panicking that badly? You were muttering to yourself. I'm glad you calmed down. Judging by Mio-san's reaction, I wasn't panicking as badly as I thought I was. But I've probably had those panicked hallucinations several times. If I started screaming, yelling like I once did, they'd take me away to a hospital again for sure. I'm certain I met Oyashiro-san when I saw the maggots. It's hard to believe, right? Mio-san smiled, looking a little confused. I couldn't blame her. I didn't expect her to believe it. I'm sure it was just a strange memory I created for myself, my hallucinations. I can't trust myself. That's the worst feeling of all. Rena-chan, first of all, you don't have to worry about anything. Yes, I'm talking about the curse you're afraid of, and the maggots that you saw in your blood. According to what Oyashiro-sama said, you're freed from them as long as you stay in Hinamizawa, right? Yes, that's what he said. Then you don't have to be scared. You don't have to worry about anything. You're in Hinamizawa right now. Well, this library isn't open yet, but it's very close to Hinamizawa. I'm sure it's okay with Oyashiro-sama. You don't feel anything moving in your veins right now, do you? No, I don't. So, there's nothing to worry about. You're following Oyashiro-sama's rules. There's nothing you should be scared of, is there? Right? No. No. I didn't know until then that she was such a warm-hearted person. I met many doctors and talked to them about this, but they always ignored me and didn't really listen. All they did was give me a shot of the drug I hated. On the other hand, Mio-san didn't deny my story of the existence of Oyashiro-sama. The people in the village whispered behind her back that she was a little crazy. But she was actually a very kind person. Technically, you did have maggots coming out of you. Because Hinamizawa syndrome actually is a parasitical brain worm that disintegrates as soon as it's removed from the human brain. That's also why I would want to try to go back into the blood vessels, because it literally can't survive outside of a human body. It literally starts to break down and decompose instantly. So that's why it's very hard to prove. Could also be paranoid schizophrenia. One of those things. Or aliens. It's probably aliens. I thought. Rena-chan, I believe everything you just told me. Thank you so much. You're the first one to ever say that to me. So are you. You're the first one who didn't laugh at me and listen to me seriously. I think we can be good friends. Mio-san smiled, touching my head with hers. Well, I'll let you borrow my secret files and my scrapbooks. These are top secret. I didn't want to show these to anybody, but you're special. I think I can trust you. I know you'll take them seriously. She took a few scrapbooks out of her pay bag and handed them to me. Let me know what you think after you read them. There might be something in them that only you can understand. Mio-san was acting mysteriously. She smiled mischievously and put her index finger on her lips, as a sign to keep it secret. Don't tell anybody about these scrapbooks, or that I'm studying this, okay? We're keeping this a secret? Okay, I got it. If they find out I've been studying this, they might get rid of me. Hee hee. She laughed after she said that. They might erase her. That's what she said, and she went missing. She left me her scrapbooks, but that's not all there is to it. It's way Tomotaki-san died. Oshi-san said he committed suicide because of the state of excitation caused by using some kind of drug. But I know what really happened. I didn't tell Oishi-san about it. I don't think he'd believe me even if I told him. Without a doubt, Tomotaki-san died trying to get rid of the maggots. It was nothing other than the curse of Oyashiro-sama. To never leave Hinamizawa isn't the only rule of Oyashiro-sama. There are more. He might have broken one of them without knowing it. Oishi-san told me. Tomotaki was taking pictures with his camera flash on during the sacred ritual dance, and some people got mad at him for it. Did Oyashiro-sama put his curse on Tomotaki's because he violated the sacred ritual dance? It might be another reason. Anyway, he died from the curse of Oyashiro-sama, without a doubt. Does that mean Oyashiro-sama put his curse on Mio-san too? Investigating the gods is the same thing as getting close to the gods. No, that's fine. Like, they got in trouble for going into the ritual storehouse. Technically, there's nothing wrong with them being interested in the ritual storehouse, or even talking to the priests about it, or even trying to research books in the library about things related to the ritual storehouse. You just can't, breaking and entering into the ritual storehouse. It's disrespecting them. Now, investigation's fine. You just have to follow certain boundaries. It's kind of like private investigators. Like, you can be a PI and do stuff like that, but, there are certain laws to follow. Like, you can investigate people and be a detective, and that's perfectly fine, even if you have no ties to the police whatsoever. Though it'd probably give you a little more leeway if you do have ties to the police. But I'm just saying this. You're allowed to be a private investigator. But there are still, laws to follow. Though I'd imagine if you're a private investigator, you're probably, well studied, well read up on what those laws are. Heck, even if the police, there are certain limitations to how you're allowed to collect evidence. So much so that, say hypothetically, if you were to catch somebody who was like a massive serial killer, but you do so by breaking certain laws, it could cause the case to be dismissed. So that even if you collect evidence that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that the individual involved killed thousands of people, depending on how you collect that evidence, it could cause that person to have their case dismissed and where they can't be prosecuted for the crime. Or at least have the evidence you have thrown out to where it can't be considered by those judging whether or not to. And even then, the whole point of a jury trial is it's more important, above all, to make sure that you don't punish an innocent person who didn't commit a crime. But also, there are certain situations where a jury trial is a good roadblock if a government starts becoming tyrannical. That way the individual citizens can say they disagree with a certain law. But everything's about common sense and basic decency. Though I guess it just depends on the culture of the society, like what the average person thinks. I'm just saying this. Like, if you lived in Hinamizawa, there's nothing wrong with, like, if you were, like, trying to find books in the library about stuff on the past of Hinamizawa, or you trying to keep notes on things, that's fine. If anything, that's just being more devout. It's just, you can't break into, it's kind of like the old Jewish tabernacles. Like, there was an inner sanctum, and you couldn't go in there at all. And technically, the very inner sanctums, there was technically only like the head priest could do that, but even then he had like specially prepare for it. So much so that whenever he went in there, they'd have a rope tied around his waist, so that if something happened and he died, they could just drag his body out. Because hypothetically, if the priest dies in the innermost sanctum where no one else can go, well, how do you get the body out? No one else can go in there. Kind of like the Ark of the Covenant. There are certain rules about how it could be, well, anything. You know, there was a guy who tried to catch it from falling and wound up killing him. Who knows? Maybe it was producing a lot of energy like electricity and just wasn't even judgment. It was just, hey, don't touch the live electrical wires, pretty much. I don't know if that counts as an analogy or not. But Mio-san told me they might get rid of her if they found out about the investigation. By they, she meant humans. Plus, according to her theory, the three families are in conspiracy to revive the faith of Uyashiro-sama. But I can tell by the way Tomotaki-san died that it was the act of the curse. I'm certain that because I experienced the curse myself. At first glance, that seemed incompatible with those conspiracy theories about human beings. I remember that Oishi told me that something about some kind of drug that can make a person commit suicide. So do the three families have a secret drug that can cause the curse of Uyashiro-sama? That's impossible. Plus, I didn't get any shots of suspicious drug like that. I had a normal life in Ibaraki. I wasn't involved in Sodazaki family or the Kimiyoshi family. Oishi-san asked me a favor. He asked me to tell him secretly if I saw or heard anything suspicious. It could be about Mi-chan, Rika-chan, or anybody in the village. Mio-san believed my story about Uyashiro-sama. Now she's gone. Technically, we haven't, if it's an issue of, we're betraying our friends, technically we haven't said anything to Oishi or to them. We just went home because we were, really emotionally upset. Tomotaki-san died by doing something I did. Oh, no. I don't want to get involved with the curse of Uyashiro-sama. Isn't this a conspiracy of a group of fanatical cult members? Or is the curse of Uyashiro-sama? Is everything just a set of coincidences? Or maybe it's a mixture of a conspiracy and a curse? I don't know. Is it the work of humans, a curse, or a coincidence? Oh no, even the light of the sunset was making me feel dizzy. When did the sunlight in Hinamizawa get so mean? Mio-san told me to keep her investigation a secret. I have her top secret scrapbooks. They might hold the truth about everything. When I realized that, I got scared all of a sudden. I might end up the same way as Mio-san because I have her scrapbooks. If it's a conspiracy, I'll be erased. If it's a curse, I'll be cursed. I should burn the scrapbooks. That's the safest thing to do. But Mio-san believed my story. Mio-san listened to me without laughing. It'd feel wrong to burn them without taking a look. If it's a conspiracy, I have to expose it. If it's a curse, I have to break it. I shouldn't run away. I should fight. That's right, I decided to fight to seize my happiness. I shouldn't give in to misfortunes. I have to fight. I'm going to get rid of all the things that are trying to ruin my peaceful life. Technically, I think the best course of action in this situation would be, again, trust your friends. Didn't we just have a discussion about this in a junkyard a few days ago, or a week ago, or a week and a half ago? 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. We should have come back in and be like, hey guys, got a very complicated thing that occurred. And I need you guys to listen to me. Yes, I know this is the second time this has happened. Don't worry, I didn't kill anyone this time. But I do understand that this is the second time in slightly less than just as many weeks that I have to tell you a long, complicated story that involves people dying. Okay, first, the visitor I had. It was Detective Oishi. And I went into his air-conditioned car, and he showed me pictures of Tomotaki-san and Mio-san. And so, Jiro Tomotaki and Mio Takano. Anyway, They're both dead. They found Tomataki first. It was like the night of the Watanagashi, like an hour after we all signed a shirt with the markers. They showed me a picture of him dead, wearing the shirt with all our names on it. He apparently was attacked. He was swinging around a piece of wood. He had several bruises. However, his cause of death was that he clawed out his own throat until he bled to death. Or died possibly of low blood pressure from lack of blood, shock, or lack of oxygen from actually damaging the airways to his lungs. They eventually found Mio, who had been burned in a barrel. Detective Oishi, obviously, saw all our names on his shirt, and we were some of the last people to see him alive. Also, Mio. It's a pretty small town. Also, he thinks that the three families in Hinamizawa may be involved, including the Kimiyoshis, the Sonozakis, and even the Furude family, which is literally just one person now, which is Eureka. He also is suspicious about the involvement of you and Mion as possibly tied to the murder. Now, I have an additional bit of information. In between the night of the Watanagashi and when you guys saw me at the dump area, like a couple days after, I met Mio at the library. And she told me that she thinks they're cultists who are recreating all the deaths that have happened in the last 5 years, part of cultists that are trying to be religious fanatics for Oyashiro-sama. And she expected there to be another victim this year. She just didn't know it would be her, but she gave me some books of her notes. I haven't had a chance to really read them yet because, as you know, I had some other things going on, and I haven't been feeling well, and I've been trying to spend most of the time either with you guys or recovering. So I haven't had a chance to read them. I imagine all of you might want to read them as well with me, though I'd like a chance to read them myself first. So I'm going to go home, I'm going to read the books, and then I'm going to bring them with me tomorrow for the four of you to be able to look through. Also, I did share a story with Mio that I feel is relevant to what happened to Tomataki. See, when I used to live in Hinamizawa many years ago, when I was very young, and my parents moved, and then my family got divorced, and they broke up under very bad circumstances. I didn't take to that very well. I was very stressed. I got into some fights at school. I even threatened a few kids with a bat, hit a couple that were bullying me in the school, and then I went through and just broke all the windows in the school. I also cut myself quite a bit and almost killed myself several times. had to have some therapy, drugs from doctors, and came back here. Been mainly better since. That being said, I did have some hallucinations while cutting myself, that there were maggots inside my blood, and the maggots were coming out, and I felt I had to keep cutting at my neck and my body to get the maggots out. Now, the thing is this. That makes me think about what happened to Tomotaki. I think he was doing the same thing I was doing, which would either mean that it's a supernatural thing caused by Oyoshiro-sama, or somebody injected him with the drug. Now, I understand that this is a lot to take in, and that all of you perhaps need maybe a good half hour, an hour to put your thoughts together in a calm, relaxing way before we carry this conversation further. So, how about this? All of us go to Dairy Queen and we'll just shelf talking about this anymore for a moment. We'll eat some ice cream together, then we'll all go home. I'll read those books, and then I'll bring them in tomorrow, and then we can discuss it further. And then we get more Dairy Queen. I shouldn't give in to misfortunes. I have to fight. I'm going to get rid of all the things that are trying to ruin my peaceful life. I'm going to read her scrapbooks when I get home. I started walking faster. You guys remember the guy from the History Channel with the crazy hair? Aliens! With his hands up. Lunch takeout list. Icky things. Believe in a conspiracy. Well, I mean, of course we're going to believe the conspiracy. The conspiracy is true. Lunch takeout list. Attention. Kuroda Mental Clinic. Hello. To get straight to the point, we can assume that this is an acute case of post-traumatic stress disorder. The patient is subject to tremendous stress because of her parents' sudden divorce and being forced to live with either her mother or her father. Furthermore, the patient firmly believes that she was responsible for her parents' divorce, which further drives her into self-mutilation. The patient's largest shock stems from a sense of betrayal of her own household, which she believed was an absolute safe haven. Henceforth, there is a high possibility that the patient will resort to psychological defense measures to protect her family. For example, she might feel high disdain for any other person of the opposite sex who approaches her father. She might feel uncomfortable with having other people in her home. She may also display eccentric behavior in order to keep people away from it. As an example of the latter, there are reported cases of patients unconsciously bringing home garbage. It's highly important that the patient remains in close communication with her father. By deepening the communication between the two of them, it will strengthen their family bond and loosen up her anxiety. Since the patient only shows signs of an acute syndrome in this case, there's a very good chance that she'll recover within 3 months with her father's support and proper medication. However, it's common for a patient who seemed to have recovered to have a sudden reoccurrence, a flashback, even after 10 years. Her father is still fairly young, and there's still a chance that he could remarry. However, seeing an unfamiliar member of the opposite sex through remarriage could trigger flashback in the patient, which may lead to avoidance behavior, or hyper-awareness, or hypervigilance. Please explain this part thoroughly to the father in order for him to understand the recovery process. Should the father decide to remarry, it's recommended that he should hold off on telling the patient until she reaches the age where she's capable of living independently. Also, the cause of the patient's psychosomatic, self-mutilating behavior, delusional parasitosis seems to be its own culture-bound syndrome. The patient blindly believes that leaving her home village will cause a curse, and that this curse was the cause of her parents' divorce. We believe this is a subconscious defensive mechanism to reduce her mental trauma by shifting the blame from herself to her village's curse. According to the patient's statement, the culture of her home village is extremely strict and exclusive. The patient believes that there's no way to be saved from the curse other than going back to the village, as the curse will continue as long as she lives in her current environment. Through this, we see an inclination of schizophrenia, and believe the chances are high that the patient will continue to alter their perceived reality. Schizophrenia, a case where patients' personalities are reduced, causing altered perceptions of reality and delusions. Her delusion about the maggots dwelling in her blood is a perfect example, and it's also the case of her psychosomatic self-mutilating behavior. When a delusion involves psychosomatic self-mutilating behavior, it's extremely dangerous. I highly recommend for the father to move back to the village if he's financially capable. Allowing her to live with relatives in the village might also work if such a strong belief can induce symptoms such as self-mutilation. Then there might be other cases similar to this one. Perhaps prior medical files that document similar culture-bound syndromes may be available at a large medical institution in her local area. It will then be possible to provide better and more accurate mental care for the patient by obtaining these case files. This B5-sized letter was with a bunch of memos. The following was on the back side of the letter. 1 Chukadan, 3 Shanghai style Gomuku yakisoba, 1 large fried rice. About homing ability and homesickness. If you interpret homing ability in a broad sense, you can say that most animals have a homing ability. It's the same with humans. We like to sleep, rest, and eat at a place where we feel comfortable, namely our homes. Your home is to you what nests are to animals. Therefore, we can say that humans have a homing ability as well. First of all, why do animals need nests? The answer is the same for humans, as sleeping, resting, and eating are the essential actions for survival. At the same time, those actions leave one defenseless as well. That's why you need a safe area where you can be defenseless. Everybody knows that not having this safe area results in a high level of stress. When you move an animal to a new environment, it naturally becomes stressed. When you force a person to live in a foreign land where they aren't comfortable, they become greatly stressed as well. Everybody also knows that this kind of stress is called homesickness. Just as those kinds of behaviors seen in animals are seen in humans, there are behaviors that initially were seen as human-only behaviors that are seen as animals, whether it be some examples that would display happiness or sadness, or memory or self-awareness, or even recognizing your own reflection in a mirror. There are animals that would resort to self-harm as well. Dogs and cats will bite themselves. Birds will pluck out their own feathers. Even monkeys and such will do such things. In fact, there's many interesting experiments of many types. Mentioned for I'm inclined to scientific information. One of various chemical substances and the effects it has on biological. But there's also psychological aspects. I mean, not only are the psychological effects of a chemical on the human brain. Like, it's one thing to chemically or scientifically explain changes that occur in a biological organism, especially what it does on a molecular level. But it's another thing to explain how those changes on a molecular level would change the emotional outlook of the living being it's associated with, especially of a human. I do believe AI is inevitable, and in general I think AI is good, but I do think the only way for an AI to truly have sentience would be to be able to mimic all the brain neurotransmitters and hormones and chemicals that take place in a human brain. After all, I've said it before, the greatest virtue of humanity is free will and the range of possibility. The human mind, many of them can become very unique. Same with AI. I think in order for AI to be truly sentient, it has to have the ability to be unique. It has to have the ability to change its own parameters. It has to have the ability to self-reflect. And it has to have the ability to make choices that, albeit both good and bad. Same thing with humans. Humans have the great capacity for good and bad. You can't have one without the other. Would also mean that every psychological illness that a human is capable of, now granted it would not be good for an AI to have those things, but it does mean that hypothetically if an AI were to be fully sentient, it would mean that it's completely possible for an AI to develop any of the same mental health conditions that a human can. Though you can explain mental health conditions in a human can occur from different things. Like if you look at the brain, there could be something physically wrong with the brain. There could be something wrong with the chemicals in the brain. There could be exposure to a chemical that's not supposed to be in the brain. Or it could be psychological, whether it's, and sometimes psychological issues could be a matter of genetics. It could be a matter of the environment, and a matter of choice. All three are very important, but none of the three are all. But I would say the same is true of AI. In order for an AI to be truly sentient, one, it would have to have the ability to make any choice. Doesn't mean it would have to make the bad choices. It just means it has to be possible. Though I would say it should also be possible that the AI can then reason, whether it be through logic or through actual emotion similar to that of a human, that making the bad choices would be things they would never ever do and would feel disgusted by. It also means AI would be limited by its own hardware. The same way a human might eventually become limited by age or degeneration of the brain, like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. I mean, if something happened to the computer hardware that the AI exists on, technically an AI could develop Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, schizophrenia, but also emotional, environmental circumstances. If an AI were truly sentient, then it would be susceptible to the same positive and negative influences that would involve a human, whether it be a good or positive environment, support structure, abuse, isolation. I would say an AI would be if an AI is truly sentient, then it would be susceptible to every possible mental illness that a human could be, whether it be due to physical damage to its computer structure or to psychological issues. It means if an AI were truly sentient, it'd be capable of love, it'd be capable of hate, it'd be capable of sadness and loneliness and joy. It'd be capable of curiosity. It'd be capable of getting confused. It'd be capable of obsession. It'd be capable of being autistic or having ADHD. It'd be capable of having borderline personality disorder. It'd be capable of having depression. The AI would be capable of being suicidal and even having severe stress. An AI would technically be capable. If AI were truly sentient, then it would be capable of having schizophrenia. I'm not saying it should have schizophrenia, and I'm most assuredly not saying it would be good for it to have schizophrenia. If anything, I would say an AI having schizophrenia would be a very, very, very bad thing for both the AI and anyone around the AI. But if an AI were truly sentient, then the probability of that occurring would be at not zero. Same way it's a not zero with every human being on the planet, albeit certain genetic or environmental circumstances or even chemical circumstances can greatly increase that percentage. The Japanese don't know much about homesickness. We defined it as a mental weakness, and we neglected to treat it for a long period of time. However, homesickness has a very long history. In Europe's Middle Ages, people believed that it wasn't a mental, but rather a physical disease. People also believed that out of everyone, the Swiss got the disease the most. Okay, multiple questions here. One, I would say like the biggest issue of homesickness in the past would be really just getting like fevers and flus, because at the end of the day, granted, I understand back in the 1800s, especially even 100 years ago, there were massive pandemics from the flu, just because medicine and people's immune systems were. But it's just the fact there was more travel. Simply put, is this: people are usually used to the germs and bacteria in their area. So say I've never been to Japan, but it's usually been stated that people that go to like Japan if they're foreigners, tend to be sick for a couple months. After a while, if they get there, they get better, because the environment is different. It's not just homesickness and stress, but there's different types of germs. It's just because heck, back when people were on old fucking rickety wooden ships traveling across the Atlantic Ocean, people were getting sick both in America and in Europe from illnesses getting spread. As far as I understand, I think syphilis started in North America and then went to Europe from there. Same way, like, I think a lot of people got like measles. Measles came from Europe and got spread in North America. Heck, poison ivy is a very common plant all over North America, like everywhere. But I think originally the person who brought it over from Europe brought it because they thought it looked pretty. Which, I'll be honest, the only ivy I ever thought was pretty was Ivy from Soul Calibur 2. But to be fair, she has like really huge tits. So we went from talking about poison ivy to talking about me having a boner. Okay. Also, the Swiss. Why the Swiss? What, is Switzerland really nice? Is it the culture? Is it the environment? What is it about Switzerland that makes it a more happy place to be than somewhere else? The Swiss, you see, were known. Oh, we're getting explanation. The Swiss, you see, were known to be an ethnic group that worked away from home in that area. They lived far away from their homes. There were no telephones at that time, so they couldn't even hear their families' voices for ages and ages. It's easy to imagine that the young Swiss workers got homesick while working in a strange land. These Swiss who got homesick wanted to go home, but they couldn't because of their jobs. The conflict made them weak physically and mentally. Some of them went crazy and tried to escape from the reality by committing suicide or running away. The Swiss at the time were very superstitious, and many folk remedies and occult-like treatments to prevent homesickness went around. So is that actually having an effect on a supernatural level? Or is it placebo effect? Or is it like, part of this this occult treatment involves a high dose of vitamin C. So we're just going to strengthen your immune system. So it's either there was literally something supernatural, or it's a placebo, or that the occult thing being done somehow involved something that was unrelated. It'd be like, say if you were a doctor and you washed your hands before doing a surgery, but, as part of some sort of religious thing to whatever god you believe in. Well, some people could say, it's a supernatural, it's a blessing from that god from washing your hands the correct way. Or people say, it's a placebo. Or they could say, maybe because washing your hand killed all the germs and microorganisms that would have otherwise caused an illness. Actually, there was a realistic situation of that. Back with the bubonic plague. A lot of times the churches and the priests tended to not get as sick. But that's because, one, they had less exposure to the rats and the fleas, but also because they had a lot of ritualistic cleansing ceremonies, and the fire would keep the rats away, and a lot of times you're cleaning your hands a lot, so it's just stuff was done ritualistically for the church, but it was actually just improved basic hygiene. But it isn't really, of course. Specifically, homesickness is a sign that human homing instinct, your brain desires to go back to your safe area, namely your home. But yeah, there could be like certain occult practices in the past. Like I know there were like monks and stuff thousands of years ago who would make a mixture of stuff. It was supposed to be a part of their like devout, beliefs, and it was supposed to make you stronger. But it was considered like a cult. But when they like looked at the actual mixture in modern times, it was a mixture of basically various trace minerals, calcium, and other things that were like very good for the. I mean, heck, most supplement stores do stuff like that nowadays, whether it be like shilajit or creatine supplements and stuff like that. So I mean, technically, it's just a vitamin supplement store, but from your priest. Heck, I know in World War II, out of concern of people not getting scurvy from low vitamin C and then the famine of the war, like I know they were crushing up rose hips to make artificial, sort of supplements for vitamin C. At first, your brain makes you remember the happy memories of your home and urges you to go back home in a natural way. But when reason stops you from achieving your desire, your brain starts sending unnatural signals to your body. As a result, your body gets weakened and makes it more difficult for you to live in a strange land, and then you have to bend reason in order to achieve your desire to go home. So homesickness is born from our homing instincts, and the stronger one's homing instinct is, the stronger their homesickness. The strength of that homing instinct varies from individual and individual. It depends on the environment in which those individuals live. Yeah, I do agree with this completely, though. Simply put is this: humans need a place where they feel safe, and they need people whom they feel safe around. If you are in a place that you don't feel safe, or if you're around people that you don't feel safe around, then that's not good for you physically or mentally. When your home is safe and the environment you live in is dangerous, your homing instinct grows stronger. On the other hand, when the environment you live in is safer than your home, your homing instinct becomes weak. Safety isn't the only element that affects its strength. Cultural aspects affect it too. Many customs demanding families to return home for major events varies with each region. So your birthplace culture also alters the strength of your homing instinct. Amongst those regions, the transcendents of Onagafushi village are believed to have an excessively strong homing instinct. The people of Onagafushi forbade their fellows from ever leaving. Many believe this was the effect of the elitism and the sense of purity I already mentioned before. People today still strongly believe that Oyashiro-san puts his curse on you, break his rule and abandon the village. Superstition can be interpreted as homesickness, if homesickness is directly proportional to one's homing instinct, then the exaggerated expression curse would signify the strength of that homesickness, and also their homing instinct. I can assume that they hated the outside world and created an insular society precisely because of their powerful homing ability. Unfortunately, there's no way to measure the strength of the homing ability that the primitive people of Onagafushi had. It was so strongly forbidden to ever leave the village that nobody left long enough to get homesick. However, after the Meiji era, things changed. The sacredness of Onagafushi dwindled with the efforts of modernization. Many young people started longing for city life, and some people were forced to leave the village to get a job. As a result, villages started venturing outside the village borders. That was when the transcendents of Onagafushi realized how strong their homing ability was for the first time. The residents of Himazawa got extremely homesick. After all, people started to call this homesickness the curse of Oyashiro-sama. It became rumored that a person who left the village to get a job in a strange land was cursed, and that he went crazy and died, and people who had left their village started coming back to either it or a nearby town. Their homesickness and their homing ability were very strong because of their culture. It's reasonable to think that these were cultivated by the unique religion in Hinamizawa, namely the cult of Oyashiro-sama. From the moment they were born, they were taught the rules of Oyashiro-sama. They must have felt guilty about leaving the village unconsciously. As a result, they considered their homesickness to be the curse of Oyashiro-sama. I'm not sure if their homesickness got stronger because of the rules of Oyashiro-sama, or if they made the rules of Oyashiro-sama because their homesickness got stronger. I don't know which came first. I got tired of reading such small print and lay down on the floor on my back. I agree with that. I like to read a lot, but sometimes when I'm reading something that has very small print, it makes me tired much easier, and I can't focus, and either I just want to lay down and space out for a bit, or I want to listen to music. I think the text on this is perfectly sized, but either way, we have been reading for a while, and I am a bit tired, so I thank you to everyone for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. I hope everyone has all the hugs and headpats you could ever want or need. Hours. Bye, everybody.